Hi guys, this is Tina. Welcome back to my channel. So here for another episode of my Fabulous Flowers series. So this time it's my kind of final, light bulb idea that I had kind of when I was, working at the weekend trying to kind of come up with something new. And again, far from, a revolution. It's, not anything madly exciting or new, or I'm sure that you've probably seen things like this before, but I just thought something a bit different. So we're going to talk about kind of using flowers as frames. So I've got a few things that kind of the idea, hopefully you'll see, kind of evolves as kind of I worked on items, kind of coming up with this. So the first one that I've got, this is just a book page pocket. It's been stitched around on the sewing machine. And literally I've just got a die cut piece here, which is in itself a kind of, flourishy journaling block frame thing. And I literally have framed it with some little flowers there that I've die cut out. And then just another little paper flower here, some lace trim down the side and some diamante. So that was kind of, my first stab at using them as a kind of border or a frame. Then my next piece, in fact, turn these over as those, there's an element of surprise. So then my next piece was in this tag that I made. So literally I have framed up this gorgeous image here by using, yes, Laura, I have used some of that eyelash trim that you've sent me. I don't know why. I had a bit of a fear of using eyelash trim. I think because I did once see somebody using it. So this is what Laura kindly gifted me. I once saw somebody using it where they kind of wound it round. So they took a strand and they wound it round like this and kind of glued it on underneath something. Now for me, that was very, very fiddly. I've talked before, I'm not a very delicate person. I struggle with kind of anything that's a little bit fiddly. So for me, that was very fiddly and it kind of put me off using eyelash trim. However, I have now seen a couple of people use it more where they just use one strand. I think it was Linda Israel, who I saw very recently. She did some altered paper clips and used just one kind of strand. So thank you, Linda, so much. It was very helpful for me because obviously then you do get that same effect, by just using one strand, and obviously it's not then overwhelming. So for me, that was very helpful. So, right, I've obviously gone off at a tangent there, so I apologise for that. I will stop waffling and just get back to the purpose of the video. So here I've used it as a kind of border or a frame for this. So I have layered up various different types of flowers, as you can see, kind of a mixture of paper flowers, a fabric flower here, and obviously those gorgeous flower trims from the Wish app. And obviously underneath them, I have just popped some of that lovely eyelash trim. So that was kind of my second stab at using flowers as a kind of border. Now this I thought was now getting a little bit more exciting. So I was kind of working my way up. So the next thing that I did, I went shopping and I bought some of these aperture cards. So, and they were like a trifold card. And I thought, perfect, because what I needed was something to be able to cut a frame from. And now I haven't got a punch or die or anything like that that does that. So if you've got that, obviously you won't need to buy these, but for me, I did need to buy these. So I bought these. They weren't expensive, so it was fine. I just got kind of 10 in a pack or whatever. So this was one that I've coffee dyed, and I will come to that in a moment. So the first thing that I did was I thought, let's take just the frame section and tear it around so as it looks nice and kind of grungy. I stamped around it, obviously here, and then I have framed the frame itself with the flowers. Now, what I also did, so let me unclip this for a moment, is I have backed some... It's not cellophane. In fact, let me show you exactly what it is. I had the bag or the packet from some bread. The bread that I bought with the day I had the disaster with the soup. So what I did was I kept the packet that the bread came in, and in the middle of the packet it obviously had this see-through kind of panel. So this stuff is kind of obviously very similar to what you would get on a window envelope. You know, it's that kind of stuff. Obviously there would be loads of other things you could use. For me, this just, you know, I wanted to reuse the packaging for some reason, and saw that, thought, aha, you know, well, I just kept it. I didn't have an idea in mind, but I kept it. But as it happens, when I then saw the frames and was doing this, I thought, I can use that. Now this has got little perforated holes on there, if you can see that. Doesn't worry me, it's fine. But obviously that's where the window envelopes would be better, because they wouldn't have the perforated holes. Then what I thought I would do is, so I mean obviously the back looks a complete mess, but that's fine because that would be glued into your book. So let me bring my blank journal in. So just bringing this here, let me get a blank page, move this out of the way. So I'll just show you how a couple of these things would look. So, I mean, obviously tag, you could paper clip that on, you know, we all kind of use tags. This would be this piece here, and I would just literally glue it down on two sides and use it as a little, whoops, as a tuck spot, like that. So that's that one. Now this one here, let me just move this out of the way. I've got the pieces ready placed to begin making this journal. Right, so this piece here, what I thought you could do is literally glue it down in exactly the same way as a tuck spot or a pocket. You know, you could kind of glue it on three sides, and it would then be attached onto your page like that. So all I did was made a very small tag that obviously it wouldn't have the paper clip. The paper clip for me is just to hold it together with this until I come to use it in a journal. So it's just got a ribbon tab, it's got some lace, and this gorgeous lady from some of my journaling cards that are in my shop. And that would just slot in there like that, which I just thought, that's so simple and so pretty. And obviously, you know, you could put whatever you like in this frame. You could have journaling itself. You could have, you know, I don't know, a flower image. You could have whatever you like would be able to go in there. So for me, I just thought that's really nice, really simple, really pretty, you know, really like it. So I'm just keeping that held together so that I remember that that's how it's being used when I come to actually use it in a journal. Let me move that to one side again. And then the last idea was these aperture frame card things, pockets for inside a journal. So the first one, I literally took, you know, the card that I just showed you, literally took that, and I've made a little pocket piece. And then obviously, because we're doing the fabulous flowers, and the reason for this for me was making flowers as a frame, I have literally edged around the frame in these pretty flowers. Again, thank you, Laura. I have used a little bit of eyelash trim there. Popped a little coordinating flower down in the bottom with some lace, just so it kind of ties it in, which I just thought looked really pretty. So again, what I've done is I just used the flowers from the Gorgeous Girls add-on kit. So I mentioned this last time, it's available in my shop. It's 99 cents for kind of a 2-page download, which if I just show you the 2 pages, I have already obviously snipped some out of these during the last video, but so it's just those 2 pages for 99 cents. So I've literally used those flowers there. So literally, I just thought they looked really pretty, and then I've just popped a little paper flower on there with a little kind of flower from the gorgeous trim that I keep using as well. I think that looks really pretty. And then literally I took this image from a book. I haven't even backed it or anything. I need to obviously kind of back it onto something, but just so that I could give you a kind of idea that that's how it obviously looks, you know, with something in there. And again, you could obviously paper clip this on either at the top or at the side, or you could obviously glue it on. Now, the only kind of observation that I made was this is quite thick card, because obviously these were greeting cards, you know, so they're quite thick. So obviously when I got them, they were a trifold. Clearly I didn't use them as a trifold. I just literally cut down here and kind of glued it over and then glued the bottom. So it's less bulky. It's not got the 3, so it's considerably less bulky, but it's still quite thick. So the next one that I made, I literally made this one from just some some scrapbook paper, sorry, not coffee dyed, just some scrapbook paper, which I just had in my stash, and literally just cut it down. Then obviously used with my craft knife, used this as a template to cut my hole. Now again, I'm not the neatest cutter, so you know, my cutting of the hole, not neat at all. But again, it doesn't matter, because the idea of this was to use the flowers as the frame. So the entire frame is actually going to be covered up anyway. So, you know, you don't have to worry if it looks quite scruffy. It's fine. It doesn't matter at all, which, you know, for me, that's fantastic, because obviously that's a problem for me. And then obviously the inside, because this was double-sided scrapbook paper, it was a patterned paper, if you can see that. So what I did was I just took a little bit of book page and just glued that in behind, so you've got something kind of more vintage to look at. Did a little bit of stamping down the bottom, and again just popped on a flower here at the bottom to kind of tie it in. And again, I left that kind of like a little double pocket there as well, so you could kind of put something in there, and obviously your journaling card in the top. So I just dragged the journal back just to quickly show you, you know, how this would look. So I'll just place them on the page. So you've got obviously the first one could be glued in like that. Obviously, if you wanted to use these and they were quite thick, I would recommend you could use them on the inside covers, because obviously they're going to be a little bit sturdier possibly, you know, but obviously it's kind of completely your choice really. And that's how that one looks. So I think they're really nice, you know, and something again which I don't think I've seen anybody else doing, not, you know, not anything kind of wildly different or anything. So I'm sure probably they have been done before in some form. I just probably haven't seen them. So I'm not trying to kind of steal somebody's ideas. I just personally haven't seen them. So for the video, I have tentatively kind of made a couple of these up so that we can kind of get cracking. If I just literally show you kind of all that I did, so that if you wanted to make these, you could. So literally, I took my paper. In fact, let me get a scrap of paper to kind of just demonstrate this. So I just took a scrap of paper, not a scrap, sorry. I'm using a scrap now to demonstrate. I just took some paper, cut it down to roughly the height that I wanted my little piece to be, and then folded it, obviously as per the original card, like that, and then literally folded in the other side like that, and then went up the side there so as I've got something to glue it down to. That was all. And then literally here, just as we did with the pouch, and then I just got rid of these bits. Oops. Like that. Fold this over. I mean, obviously I'm not going to use this one, but I'm just demonstrating very quickly. And then literally placed my card again over the middle, roughly, you know, where I want it to be. So you could obviously have it higher or lower, you know, and then just got my craft knife, obviously taped this down with some washi tape, got my craft knife and cut the square out of there. So that was how I made my two little booklets, or not booklets, sorry, my 2 little pockets. So just, you know, just very quickly they're demonstrating that. Sorry, just trying to pick up the pieces of paper now off the desk. Just demonstrating that very quickly, just so that you know kind of how to actually make the booklet. So then once you've got your booklet, obviously the fun part now comes along. It's time to decorate it. So again, just grab some flowers that you've got ready cut out. They could be from anywhere, you know, or any style of flowers. You know, you could incorporate all sorts of flowers in these. Now, I've just got some flowers, obviously, that are ready, you know, ready cut here. But, you know, if you were doing something a little bit more bright and fun, you could use some kind of spring coloured, pretty kind of paper flowers. So if we just kind of demonstrate those, just move these out of the way a bit. So for instance, on this one, you could just go round and literally layer up. I mean, as you can see here, I did not make a very neat job of cutting that. But again, it doesn't matter because you're going to be covering it up with all of your gorgeous, yummy flowers. I mean, I just think they look really, really, really pretty. So, you know, you could just kind of layer up all around the edge. Oops. A whole bunch of gorgeous paper flowers like that. Now, I probably can't bring myself to actually do this because it will clear me out of all these gorgeous pastel colours. And although kind of, you know, as crafters, we're constantly trying to use up our stash. I don't know about you, but once I get low on my stash of especially kind of things that I really like, I then struggle to actually use them. So I think that's a nice idea. I can't bring myself to use these. So that was just a little suggestion for if you've got plenty of flowers to use, then you could by all means use them. You know, I'm kind of beginning to run low, so using them in one kind of hit like that would be very terrifying for me. But obviously, you know, if you didn't use those, you can use your fussy cut flowers. So again, I'm just going to take literally, you know, even kind of completely random kind of colours here. This one, obviously, this is a corner flower, so it's quite handy because it's actually ready cut for you. Or not, sorry, it's not ready cut, obviously, you'd have to cut it out. But it's ready stuck in the shape of a corner. So that one's quite a handy one to use. And you can just layer them up, as you kind of see. And again, actually, I think what I did was when I used these purple ones, I then cut a couple of the corner ones down so that I then had more, obviously, for the other corners, if you see what I mean. And then the little tiny one that I cut off is still fine to actually be included somewhere, like that. So literally, it's just a case of layering them up, kind of as you wish. So again, might just literally chop this one down again. Use that there, and then the little tiny one that's left, you can just tidy that up. Obviously use that there. Oops. Like that. Got another orange one here, which strangely looks brighter than the others, so it must be printed on different paper. Now I'm having a look to see what I've got that's been ready cut to use that will actually go. And obviously now I'm beginning to actually run out of ready cut flowers, would you believe? Because we've been doing such a lot with flowers that despite all my efforts of all that fussy cutting, I'm now actually beginning to run out of flowers. Right, so let me just cut a few down from the little kit here. There we go. So, and I mean, as I say, you know, you can obtain your flowers from anywhere. You know, you've probably got a load already actually in your stash anyway. You know, it doesn't matter where they come from. You're just literally kind of layering up kind of around. And I mean, obviously, I wouldn't normally put, you know, lilac-y purple with orange. But I guess, you know, I mean, obviously, I'm just going with what I've got ready cut out because I want to spare you the misery of kind of me having to endlessly cut stuff out. But I guess what this is demonstrating a bit is that actually, you know, anything goes. The colours all work pretty nicely, don't they? Kind of, you know, because flowers, I guess, in the garden, they are, you know, a multitude of colours, aren't they? So, you know, I guess that's the beauty of flowers, isn't it? All the colours do kind of merge in and go together because a garden is an abundance of colour, or, you know, can be an abundance of colour. And, you know, therefore, it doesn't kind of matter really if they're perfectly matching or not. You know, they just kind of go together anyway. So, you know, something like that. And then, you know, again, what you could do is mix them in. So on this page, there is also a little butterfly. So if I just grab that. And again, just kind of cut the butterfly out. Okay. Sorry about this, guys. I've done a couple of videos now this morning back to back, and they were quite long ones, so I'm probably kind of reaching my time to have a break and recharge my batteries, so I do apologise. And I should have obviously really stopped and fussy cut a load of stuff out ready, but I was just keen to crack on. So you could have something like that. Let me just check them in frame. Again, super pretty, you know, really, really lovely. And, you know, strange how actually all those colours just look so lovely together. So again, to glue them down, you know, you can just kind of glue them randomly. So I'm just going to start by gluing this one down because, again, I don't want them looking uniform, like they've been stuck. You know, like dominoes, if they're kind of lined up for one of those domino falling contest things, I don't want it to kind of have that sort of appearance. I want them slightly more random looking than that. So I'm just going to pop them down like this. And again, I mean, obviously, just be careful that you don't actually stick the flowers onto your paper underneath, because I did have that happen a couple of times yesterday. So, yeah, I mean, probably you guys are slightly less kind of clumsy than me anyway and wouldn't really do that. But I did have that happen a couple of times. So, you know, so long as you spot it quite quickly, then it's okay, because you can then kind of rescue them and get them back out. But I mean, obviously, if you left it a bit long, they may be stuck quite firmly down. So there we go. Oops. So I mean, I just think these look really pretty, and yeah, kind of really lovely. So I think, again, like I've kind of said on the last couple of videos, I'm going to be making a few of these and using these, I think, because they're pretty fun to make, and you know, I think they're just something a little bit different, and it's always nice to kind of have a few different things, isn't it, kind of going on in a journal. So I should be making a few, I think. Well, I say that, I don't quite know when I'm going to be doing that, because oh gosh, and again, I'm not complaining. I know it sounds like I'm constantly complaining, and I'm really not. But you know, kind of when you're doing these series, you know, you're kind of constantly trying to think of something new to do. Kind of neglected my shop a little bit, so I haven't really listed much in there lately. And again, I apologise if by the time that I upload this video, maybe I have put things in there, because then that will appear not quite true. But you know, because obviously doing these videos takes me away from time that I would normally kind of be making things for in my shop. So yeah, although I'm saying, oh, I'm going to make some more of these, the reality is I might not have time, I suppose. But I would like to, let's just say I would like to make some more of these if time allows. So yeah, we'll just probably leave it like that, because I do think that they're pretty fun. And we'll just then glue this one down like that. Just kind of tuck that underneath. And then final one is just that one up there. So again, just, and I'm just using Mod Podge just because I've got some here ready to use, because I've just done another video where I've used it, so I've got kind of some poured out ready to use, and my paintbrush is in there, you know, ready to use, so it's just kind of easy for me to use that. But you know, by all means, you don't have to use Mod Podge, you could use whatever glue, you know, you felt works nicely. So I think that looks really pretty with obviously this, I call it a butterfly, it might actually be a moth, I'm not sure. So, but I quite like that, just in that corner. So, and again, these are included in that little 2-page download. So, because I think they're quite fun and versatile to use also. So, yeah. Right. There we go. So, gorgeous. Really simple, quite fun to make, and, you know, something just really quite pretty about that. So, again, what you could do is kind of finish it off by having something kind of coordinating in the corner. So, for instance, you know, on here we've got another little cluster of the kind of lilac flowers. I don't know whether this is going to look good or not. You know, I may cut it out and think, oh gosh, it looks awful. But obviously we're just kind of trial and error here whilst we're on film. So I'm just going to cut these ones here. Like that. Now, these flowers are, you know, very tiny ones. They're much smaller than the flowers in my Fabulous Flowers kit. So, obviously you know, when you print, you can upsize things or downsize things. So you could print things at different sizes, but it's quite nice to have a variety, isn't it? Some big flowers, some small ones. So, you know, for me, these are quite sort of nice to use some different ones. So, and when you look kind of, you know, at the die cut packs that you buy, I've said before that, you know, I love those Kaiser Craft die cut packs. They're quite varying in size. Sometimes they're quite large. Right guys, I do apologise. Unbeknown to me, my camera had actually then flicked off with my storage space full. Now, I had this happen a lot when I was doing my actual junk journal series. I think because obviously I'm trying to kind of do quite a lot of videos ahead of time. and then I'm not having time to upload them and things like that. So unfortunately that did happen. So I've just looked back and saw that I'd got as far as I think sticking kind of all the bits on. So then what I did here, I just stuck down some more of the corner lilac flowers just to complement that. And then, like I had done here, I used this gorgeous birdcage stamp, which I'm not sure whether I did show you or didn't show you that. So I apologise if I'm repeating myself. This just stamp I've had for a really long time. I think it was a Casey Craft stamp. Sometimes I use the whole full length of the birdcage, sometimes I just use the top half. But obviously here I've just used the top half just as I did here. And then I just did a little bit of script stamping around to kind of, you know, decorate it further, and then just inked around the whole thing. So I really love these. I think they're really gorgeous. And, you know, again, you could just then use this as a little side load-in pocket here. And then obviously you've got your top load-in pocket in here with your frame that's been kind of edged with the flowers. So really pretty, I think. So that's those. And then I thought if we had time, we would just very quickly make one like this. So all I'm going to do is take the aperture card that I originally started with, because obviously, you know, we want something reasonably thick here. Now, I quite like the torn edges as the appearance. I don't know about you guys, but for me, that's quite a nice look. So literally, I'm just going to tear the frame section of the card that we can then use as our kind of basis for our frame. So I'll just cut around there. Oops, not cut around there, tear around there and around here. Now I have to be a bit careful because this is the one that I have been using as my template, so I've actually kind of cut into it in a couple of places with my craft knife. Like here. Now I don't mind this piece. This was some damage that I did when I was coffee dyeing it. For me, I don't mind that. This piece is a little bit more obvious, so I'm not necessarily quite so keen. So I'm going to just tear that off, and then I might just kind of ruffle that up a little bit with my scissors. So it looks, you know, slightly better kind of than it was looking. There we go. And I'll just ink that slightly like that. You know, because I haven't decided quite how we're going to do this as the frame yet, but if we just had flowers kind of as we have here, then obviously, you know, these bits may well still be, you know, quite on show. So see which way round we want it. Probably like that, I think is quite nice. So the first thing that I did, was it the first thing that I did? I can't remember now. The first thing that I did, I think, was actually stamped around the frame a little bit. Again, that's not an essential thing to do. I just thought it would kind of add a little bit more interest. So I'll just take my stays on, and, you know, you can just stamp anything that you like on here. So I might just stamp a little bit of kind of script, or I've got this kind of pretty, well, I say I've got this pretty rose stamp. I now can't find it. Oh, here we go. I've got a kind of pretty rose stamp, which may be quite nice. So I'm just going to kind of just check that that's stamping nicely. I haven't used it for a long time. So that looks quite nice, doesn't it? We could just stamp it kind of here, like that. And then another one maybe just here. Okay, that's that one. And then we just want to kind of, actually I'm just going to, not quite finished yet, just going to pop a little bit of sheet music stamp. So I've just got this little strip here of kind of sheet music. So just kind of show you how it looks. I actually don't like this stamp overly much. I obviously got it for the sheet music, thought I would absolutely love it and be using it all the time, a bit like I do the script stamp. But for some reason I don't really kind of like how it looks that much, but I thought it might be quite nice on here. I think the lines, they're a little bit too liney for me and not enough music notes. So yeah, a bit of a shame it wasn't kind of quite as I'd hoped it to be. Now I'm going to try and keep an eye on the time, because obviously I have removed a couple of things from the iPad, but maybe not quite enough. So I'm just going to keep my eye on that, because I don't want to kind of miss out on, you know, more things kind of thing. So on here, obviously I used a variety of different types of flowers, which I thought looked really pretty and worked really nicely. So we could do that again, or we could just use some sort of fussy cut flowers here. Now these ones, I have fussy cut these from the postcards, or one of the postcards from the Gorgeous Girls kit. So I literally just kind of cut them off from around the edge of a postcard. Or what we could do is possibly mix them in together. So if I just kind of reach in my little tin. So I've got this one which has been inked up slightly. Obviously these little flower trims here. If I just kind of cut around those. I've just cut a couple, I think, off. Like that. Oops. There we go. So we could kind of, you know, layer them up a little bit. Around there. Again, take that gorgeous diamante kind of trim, kind of layer it up like that. Looks quite pretty. Like that. And then just kind of layer them up. So what I might do is just on here cut this bit away, because obviously this would be the wrong shape for this side. So I mean, that does now cover up completely the rose that we stamped, which is a bit of a shame, but you know, sometimes that type of thing happens, doesn't it? You know, we're not quite sure of how we want things to be until we kind of come to do them, and then it just kind of goes like that, doesn't it? Just wondering, or we could make it much smaller. Oh, I'm not sure now. So I mean, I quite like it like that anyway, so in this corner. So what I'm going to do, I will just use the Mod Podge, because again, that's just still there from earlier. And I'm just going to literally, oops, spread it in the corner here, because the whole corner kind of is going to be covered like that. Okay, and just going to literally pop some hot glue down. I normally use hot glue, but you know, for this, but just kind of doing it for speed. And my other glue is sat there just blocked up at the moment, so I don't want to kind of take up everybody's time trying to unblock my glue now, because I'm aware that video is kind of getting quite lengthy. So I mean, I think that looks quite nice, to be honest. Let me just get another one of those. Another one of those little flowers. Oops. Again, just cut off the kind of bits of thread where it's kind of like together. So I mean, I think that looks quite nice. And then what we could do, we could just ink around that a bit. So, and I mean, as I say, I got these flowers off of the, you know, the postcard from the Gorgeous Girls. So, you know, what I'm trying to kind of demonstrate by saying that is you really could find flowers anywhere. So you've probably got, you know, journaling cards or whatever with flowers on them that you could probably cut off of the journaling cards, you know, which then would obviously work kind of really well, really nicely. So that's why I kind of mentioned that. And then we'll just, oops, pop this little flower on here in the centre. Like that. Oops. So, I mean, again, you know, I guess what we're demonstrating here is the flowers are kind of used, or can be used, in such a big variety of ways, and they just look so pretty. Kind of, you know, everywhere you put them, they look lovely. And you know, we're kind of really mixing up different styles of flowers, because we're obviously using the paper kind of flowers that we fussy cut, and obviously so I might just have that kind of down on that side strip. Like that. Yeah, we're using, you know, the paper flowers that we've cut out. We're using the little kind of fabric trim flowers. You know, we're using the resin centres. So, you know, kind of, it really is okay to kind of mix up all the different styles. They just look gorgeous kind of all together. And we'll just literally glue this one down just there, like that. And then we'll just put another little centre in there. So, I mean, obviously I'm going really quickly on this because I'm aware that, you know, the video is kind of dragging on a little bit. So, and I'm obviously very conscious of my iPad running out of space now, which is very annoying. So that's that. Then take your, I don't know what you call this stuff, but take your stuff that you're going to use as your window, and then you're just going to literally glue it on to your piece. Now obviously I'm kind of running a bit low now because I used kind of, you know, a lot of it already kind of in the other piece, and obviously, you know, a lot of it was kind of stamped with the shop's name and things like that. So I have to be kind of careful how I use it here. So I need to actually have the glue quite close to, you know, my frame itself. So I'm just going to literally run it round like that. And then just literally glue it on like that. Now I've used hot glue because, well, A, for speed, and, you know, B, I don't know how well this would actually stick. This type of stuff would stick with other glues. So by all means, feel free to experiment with different glues. You know, I have just used the hot glue because I wasn't quite sure how it would take. I mean, if you've watched my channel before and kind of remember my experiment with making the glassine bags from the cereal packets, I couldn't seem to get that to glue with wet glue. So I just wondered whether it might have been a similar texture. So that's your little window there. Really pretty, isn't it? And obviously you've got that cute crinkly kind of noise as well, which is really rather nice. Now I might just have to finish it off with that little flower there. For me, just looked really pretty. Just to finish it off, and I will just pop a little pearl, I think, in the centre of that. Let's just check. Yeah, that looks lovely, doesn't it? Really, really pretty. So literally, whoa! Again, I'm just using the hot glue for speed. Yeah, I'm obviously flagging now, I think. So there we go. Right. So that's that one. And then obviously, you know, you can make a little journaling card to pop in there. So I'm just going to kind of demonstrate with the one that I made for this, that she would go in behind there. How gorgeous does that look? So let me pull the blank journal in one more time to just kind of show you. And again, really quick and easy to make those, and you know, they look really pretty, don't they? So again, you could kind of attach this in a variety of ways, whether you wanted to kind of glue it on 3 sides and have it as a top loading pocket, or kind of just as a tuck spot, you know, kind of up to you. I mean, you could have it as a kind of tuck from here, just a top loading pocket, a tuck from this side, you know, however kind of you fancied gluing it down, basically. But look at how pretty that would look on the page. And obviously you've got that gorgeous wrinkly sound, you know, which is just lovely. So that was kind of my little flowers as frames, you know, idea. So I hope that you liked it. Not saying that it's anything, you know, that's really, I don't know, amazing and kind of that other people might not have kind of used or thought of before. But I do think they're quite fun and quite effective. So, you know, I hope that you give some a go, and I would love to see kind of what you actually make with yours. I think I mentioned last time, but I'm gradually learning kind of how to use Instagram. So that seems to be kind of the way I think that people seem to show their pictures. So, you know, I'd love to kind of see what you make if you do decide to make some. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope that you enjoyed the video. I hope you tune in next time. Have a great day. Thanks, Em. Bye.